Anyone ever do a collage? I mean, I'm sure some of you may have done collages with consumers as part of a pre-interview assignment. Well, you can also do the same thing with clients in more of a workshop setting. So let's say, for example, you've just sent your clients on a bunch of ethnographies. You weren't there for all of them. Maybe you partnered up on one, but there's only one of me, and there might be 5 or 6 clients on any given project. So you have them come back, and they're given, let's say, a cardboard cutout of a consumer and a bunch of magazines. And the assignment would be to take everything you've just learned about that consumer and bring it to life visually. So they take the pictures, they put different pictures that represent their experience with that consumer onto that cardboard cutout. And then after everyone's done that, you ask them to really debrief on that experience. Why did you use, so then it's more metaphor elicitation. Why did you use that picture? Why did you use this phrase? Why did you use that word? And then all of a sudden what you find is sometimes there's similarities, sometimes there's not. But by having the client go through that exercise, they've really started to internalize what they learned. And they get an artifact from it, because I don't keep these things. I don't have enough room in my house for all these things. They keep them. And you can also bring them into brainstorming sessions, ideation sessions. They're really great artifacts. They're really great pieces of stimuli to have before you go into ideation, or as you're going into ideation. So that's really what building a person collage is all about. Role playing. Now, this is not role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons or anything like that. But this is more about, again, helping clients or people internalize a consumer experience. So how do I do role-playing? It's not all that difficult. We have these consumer experiences. Sometimes I'll have my clients just create a dossier on the consumer that they just interviewed. In other cases, I can create that dossier as well. It really doesn't matter who necessarily creates it. But basically, you give that out to a team of people. Let's say you have 6 dossiers and 6 people. You give them each that document. You have them study it. And then you have them adopt that persona for a brief period of time. And one of the ways that makes it really efficient is if I have them adopt that persona and then participate in a discussion or a focus group that I would run, but not answering the questions that I'm about to ask based on their own perceptions, but really based on an adopted persona from the dossier. So, quick story, I had a bunch of clients do this, and this is actually really, it's eye-opening for many people. So you have clients read a dossier, I'll run a group with them, and then we'll debrief on that experience. What did you learn? What was uncomfortable? Do you feel like you really understand this consumer? And then I'll have the consumers who those dossiers were based on, I'll have them come in right after, and I'll run that same group. And then my clients will observe, and they can actually see how spot on they were or how off they might have been. So that's one example of role-playing. And then, of course, debriefing on that experience. What did you learn, etc. A third thing that you can do, again, to make sure that everyone understands or kind of really internalizes this is creating a game. Now, there's no one way to do this. And actually, Brian, who wrote this book, is an expert in creating games like this. But, let's say you've done some work with some different consumer segments. You can create some kind of a board game, like Trivial Pursuit based or something like that, where the questions are about, observations about a consumer, and you can put all sorts of rules together and everything. You can do a Monopoly type game. It doesn't really matter what the game is. What matters is that you give your clients something to play with afterwards. And it can be online, it can be offline, and it's kind of a fun thing to kind of keep the momentum of a project going. It's also fun to do as part of an ideation session. So again, there's all different ways of going about doing ideation. Playing a game in the middle of the session is nice because it kind of stimulates that creative side of the brain, but also if it's based on a consumer target that you're interested in, it can help you come up with some interesting ideas. So that's really two things. A, it's giving them experiences. B, it's having them internalize those experiences. But then there's a third critical ingredient, and that's bringing it all to life after the project is done. Because the worst thing that can happen is all you do is deliver a report, which may or may not get read, and have the sort of the wind come out of the sails, so to speak. So one of the things that I'm a big fan of is calling in people for help. So I call this guy. Better call Saul. Come on, someone tell me where that's from.
Breaking Bad.
Thank you, nice Breaking Bad reference. No, I don't call Saul Goodman. I call a guy, call one of these guys. You don't want to beat them in a dark alley, right? Probably not, I don't know. This guy here on the right is a videographer and an editor. His name is Joe Anduzzi. He and I have traveled a lot together. We were in a bar in Chicago once, and some guy started just randomly calling him Twilight because he was dressed like a vampire. It was kind of an odd experience. He didn't seem to mind it so much. But he's very, very talented in terms of an editor. But the point is, I do believe a well-shot and edited documentary of the project will be played inside an organization for years to come. And I'm going to show you an example of some of the work that we did in a minute. I remember the two people I showed you that kind of stimulated my thinking around empathy. Well, I want to show you some video about what I mean and about how they sort of had me think of a topic in a completely different light. We all have different views, obviously, on politics, right? We all have different views, probably, on healthcare in this country. And I'll be completely honest, I didn't join the debate at all with regards to healthcare reform, except maybe to think that the government being in charge of healthcare might not be a good thing because I have way too much experience in line at the DMV. So that's really all the thought I gave to it. Until I was asked to do a project with consumers who were uninsured because of financial reasons. And let's face it, there are so many times as researchers we're called in to research targets who we are not, right? I have insurance. Most months I'm gainfully employed, but I am self-employed, so that does ebb and flow. But most of the time, we're asked to interview people who we're not. And our clients are also not these people. So I'm doing this on the behalf of people who couldn't be any further from the people you're about to see. And it calls to mind, and it makes me think that the work we do as researchers can really have an impact not only on how our clients perceive an issue, but as we ourselves perceive an issue. As a result of having experience with certain consumers, changes happen within ourselves. So I'm going to show you a brief video. While I'm showing you that video, I'm just going to come and collect those cards because we're going to move into the raffle in a bit. So let's roll tape, so to speak.
I'm currently in school for heating, air conditioning, refrigeration. I'm a family man. I done had a pretty tough life, and now family is what's important to me. My goals in life are basically to finish my schooling, graduate, and get a career, and be able to buy a home where, my dog, he'd be able to roam, and my kids be able to play without having to, duck gunshots and things of that sort. My neighborhood isn't the best. My son, he's 8 years old, and my daughter is 13 years old. My daughter lives with me, and my son visits me on the weekends. My goal is to really work harder to get them out of this environment so they can have the best of the education and just the best of a life, the things that I didn't have in life.
I'm not mentally ready to get back into school full time yet. I have so many things going on. Like I said, my niece just came back from London, which is my sister's daughter. And my sister just passed away a month or two ago. I went to my sister's house and found her dead on the couch.
What happened? Did she have?
Lung cancer. And she didn't tell anybody.
And she knew.
Yeah.
Did she have it treated at all?
No.
Did she have insurance?
No.
I think that, you know, I'm in pretty good health. The only time that it concerns me is when I get sick and I have to go to the hospital, but that's very rare. I know, like, I don't have insurance, so I try to, you know, I take vitamins. It's a preventative measure to where, you know, I try not to get sick. I try to do everything to prevent from getting sick. It's more of a preventative measure. By eating healthy, taking my vitamins, like I say, as you can see, vitamin C, vitamin D, calcium, protein, everything I eat, we try to, then, you know, even like with the, you know, they say fish, it's a brain food to where, you know, it's very healthy for you. It has a lot of vitamins in it, vitamin D, iron, to where just trying to eat healthy. That's the best way to take care of yourself. Eat healthy, take your vitamins. It's preventative measures. Now I'm limited. I don't have someone to tell me. I don't have a normal checkup, a normal doctor, to where I basically have to take care of myself. I have to be the doctor.
You try to eliminate anything that you think is going to make you sick, because you're so paranoid about getting sick and not being able to afford the health care. So you find yourself doing more conscious things that keep you healthy. Getting enough sleep, drinking enough water, exercising, eating right, things of that nature. And any little slight thing you think is in your body, if you know your body, most people do, you tell when there's something wrong, and you try to see if you can go take care of it before it gets out of hand. So you end up being more conscious about how you take care of yourself, because you don't have the money for health insurance. You can't afford to get sick.
Can't afford it. That's the biggest issue, to where I can't afford it. I haven't, like I said, basically my whole adulthood, I haven't had insurance. What if maybe, you know, later on down the line I might have a terminal illness or something, I might have cancer, and, you know, me knowing, like, you know, people who have terminal illnesses and knowing that how much just their medicines cost. So how would I afford these medicines I would probably die.
What are your attitudes towards insurance companies?
I feel as if they have a lot of money, to where, why is it so hard for a normal person to get insurance? Why it's something that everyone should have. What about the people who are poor? What about the people who can't pay for it? There should be some type of stimulus or some type of way for us to get health insurance. It's something that should be provided. It's the choice of paying insurance or putting food in my kids' mouth. I think my kids are more important than my health. You know, if I take better care of myself, then I'll be okay, but I have to support these kids. That's a harsh choice, to where, okay, insurance or food for the kids, to where who's not gonna take food for the kids? To where that just means that I have to go about having these preventative measures, eating more healthy and doing more for myself. I have to do what my government won't do.
I'm freaked out. I'm constantly worried that something's going to happen. But it's part of the reason too that I don't want to do too much.
You start to worry a lot, and that takes away from you being healthy, because you know, we all know stress and worry ages you and makes you sick.
The way you feel about insurance companies themselves is?
We're going to help you out a little bit, but if you get too sick and can't cover this, you're on your own. I don't think they're geared to actually taking care of the patient, providing the services to make sure you live healthy. I think it's, like I said, it's all about money. So the government wants you to pay for health insurance plus maintain a family. And at the rate things are going now, it's impossible to do.